All right, so USB-C. Until we get this going, I'll just give a bit of an intro for this talk. So the idea behind this talk came about as a result of some discussions we were having on Nostr regarding what Nostr's killer feature might be. So we're talking about it, we're like saying, okay, is it censorship resistance? Is it zaps? Is it maybe something that we haven't discovered yet? Or is it something that we maybe have already, which is radical openness of the network? I kind of fall in the camp of thinking that guys who think that it's the openness itself that's the killer feature. It will make it possible for a whole ecosystem of applications, very powerful applications, to be built on top of Nostr. These applications will look and feel like a next generation of applications that people are typically used to in the kind of traditional legacy web that we have today. And if we can get our screen going, we'll show you some of that today. Anything else you want to add, Pablo? Since we're
the point we're going to try to make is that Nostr, like one of the things that is most remarkable about Nostr is how open it can be. And the point we're going to make is that we can choose to embrace and lean in very strongly towards that openness. And I think that's what sets us apart from the rest of the web, where they are forced to lean into the closeness, particularly with AI. Particularly with what's happening on Twitter, with the KYC for creators. I think those trends will continue and they will self-reinforce. So those systems, those legacy systems, will continue to become more and more and more close. They will continue to silo more and more and more. And if we run in the opposite direction, if we lean in more and more and more towards the openness, we have a winning hand, basically.
Just a laptop, huh?
Kind of shitting my own bags here, but
do it.
No, but I'm super excited about the. I wrote NIP60 and NIP61, which are wallets, like a cashew-based wallet, where the money is stored on the relay, which means that you can go to any client that obviously implements this NIP60, and your money's there. So in the same way that you log into Primal, and the people that you follow are there, your profile is there, your notes are there. You log into whatever other client, to Highlighter, to Deimos, to Shopster, and your money's there. And it's kind of weird. But Bitcoin is data, right? And we are used to the idea of you open Sparrow and your money's there. You open Blue Wallet and your money's there. Why shouldn't Nostr have the same? So I'm super excited about that idea, the idea that someone can come to Nostr, they don't set up a Lightning wallet, they don't download wallets of Satoshi, they don't have to go through all these steps. Their NSEC is the access to their money. They are immediately swappable. I am super excited about what that unlocks, because when you onboard new people, even with Primal, which I think is at the top of the reduction of friction of onboarding someone, even activating the wallet is a bit of a step. But now, just the fact that you have your NSEC takes care of all of it. And I am super excited for what that unlocks in terms of frictionless onboarding.
Miljan?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So first of all, eCash itself is exciting. It's a really exciting technology. Both Fedimint and Cashew implementations are very interesting. The fact that you can basically have these tokens that you can move around, and that's actually the bearer assets that represent Bitcoin that you own at this particular custodian. So the fact that you can now integrate that with Nostr, and you can hold these tokens in an encrypted manner on public relays, on the public relay infrastructure that we have on Nostr, is pretty wild. And all that you need to unlock them is your Nostr key. So your Nostr key unlocks not just your Nostr identity and your Nostr content and so forth, but also this kind of spending money that you have on Nostr that you can just store securely on the public relays. That's mind-blowing. How did you come up with that? I mean, in retrospect, seems obvious, like a lot of things, but...
In retrospect, it seems so obvious. I don't remember. I think I was just thinking about how can I make the onboarding experience for new writers that come to Highlighter. How can I make it better? And always the Lightning Wallet part was like, man, what a pain. Like how can I reliably do this in a way that is not asking people, okay, go and download this thing and copy the secret here and do the Nostr Wallet Connect dance and scan this QR code. It's so much. Like for technical people, it seems like nothing. It takes us literally a minute to do it. But for a non-technical person or someone that is just doesn't have, they don't see the value yet, experiencing receiving a SAP without going through all these steps, it's too much. It's a big ask. So I want to reduce the ask, allow people to experience these things. Once they experience all this magic, they will invest the time. They will figure out the answer. They will figure out all the things that they need to figure out, but they need to be able to experience it first.
And the friction is usually related to receiving on Bitcoin, right? Like, let's say if you have a Lightning, self-custodial Lightning wallet, it's not so simple to set it up so that you can receive right out of the gate. Where with the solution that you came up with, you can receive the moment you have an Nostr account, you can receive money.
You can receive immediately, which is kind of wild, yeah. All right, yeah, we already set the frame of what we're going to be talking about, but yeah, the basic idea is we can lean in towards the openness, where the rest of the world, the rest of the legacy web, must lean into the closeness.
Yes, so as I mentioned previously, we were all discussing what's the killer feature of Nostr, and it occurred to me that it's probably something that we have already, which is this radically open network. So there are multiple categories of openness. So there's the public relay infrastructure that we have that we kind of take for granted right now. But it's probably good to kind of stop for a moment and just acknowledge, hey, we have a couple of thousand relays that are publicly accessible to anyone to post messages, to post content, to communicate, and do a bunch of crazy stuff like what Pablo just came up with literally like weeks ago with eCache, storing eCache and so forth. So this is already available to us and it's open, publicly accessible to anyone. Then we have these things like the identity layer, the social graph, and the associated web of trust. We talk about this a lot. It's a massive deal that the Nostr social graph is open to anyone to participate, not only to users, but also to developers to build on top of. So these top two items we have on this list are fairly obvious, so we're not going to spend much time talking about it. The following several items are more interesting to kind of dive into, and our presentation is going to focus on those. So content discovery, the ability to have a cross-section of open content types is also extremely interesting. Actually, that part blew my mind when I realized how this is going to unfold. Then we have things like paid subscriptions and wallet infrastructure that we already touched on. So yeah, maybe let's dive right in. Next slide, please. No. Oh, here we go. Content discovery. All right.
Okay, so there are a few ways. So content discovery is kind of the thing that it's become kind of a cliche that in Nostr is kind of broken. It's just like Derek said before, it's just early. I am very hopeful because I see that discovery is getting to the point where it's going to become much more normal to have access to discovery tools. One of the options of doing discovery is DVMs. And we have a few clients that had implemented DVMs for like a year or so. The domain data vending machines, I got the renewal notice like a few days ago, so literally 1 year. So we have Noogle that allows you to see all the different DVMs, and just high-level data vending machines, DVMs, are kind of like algorithms or compute that you can ask to do something, and so you give it a bunch of inputs, and it gives you one output. In this case, for the feed marketplace, we give it the input of give me stuff, and stuff can be just anything. So here we have Amethyst, which released DVM support probably like a month ago. And you can ask for all kinds of really weird stuff, like very specific, very long tail stuff. So one node per follow, or stuff that is trending on Nostr, notes about animals for some reason. And do you have in the next slide, we have more screenshots?
No,
okay. So we have Nostr, for example. It's kind of funny. We were working on the slides, and we wanted to put a screenshot of Nostr. And in between taking the screenshot of Amethyst and the screenshot of Nostr, which didn't make it into the slide, but there was a new DVM. And the guy behind Nostr was having dinner with us last night. But his product got better without him doing anything. Something just appeared into the marketplace. Someone came in, brought a new algorithm. He didn't touch a single line of code. He was not even aware. It was completely permissionless. But his product got better. And yeah, you want to take the next one?
Sure. So I guess the big takeaway here is that we already have a feed marketplace on Nostr. So, and it's exposed using the DVM technology that Pablo also came up with. So data vending machines. There's a way to publish these, let's say, feeds, and there's a way to consume the feeds within a few clients that already implemented it. We mentioned Amethyst and Nostr kind of leading the charge here. So congrats, guys, on that. On Primal, I'll give you a bit of a preview on what we're doing on Primal 2.0. So we'll have the feed picker, like we do now, a little bit more expanded with a bunch of built-in feeds. Then when you click the edit button, you'll be able to, right there in the main UI, organize your set of feeds, toggle them on and off, and change order and things like that. But then there's the add feed button right there, which shows the feed marketplace within the app itself. Then when you select any of the custom feeds, you'll be able to get the preview for that feed and simply add it to your list of feeds. So what we're going to do at Primal is we're kind of a little bit unique at the moment within the Nostr space in the sense that we build services as well as clients for Nostr. So we have built a bunch of feeds that are currently only available in Primal. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a bunch more feeds. We're going to publish all of those feeds. Every single Primal feed will be available in the feed marketplace. And of course, we're going to be able to, within all Primal clients, you'll be able to consume any third-party feed that anyone else has published. And I'm convinced that the craziest, the highest signal, the most interesting feeds are not going to be created by Primal or like a big vendor like that. Once you open things up like this, the marketplace is going to be, it's already vibrant to just like a few weeks in. I think this is going to really explode and offer a new way to discover content and kind of get into a lot of interesting things out there on Nostr. So that's a major way in which openness as a feature of Nostr is contributing to all clients. Pablo just mentioned with no strudel, Hazard was having dinner with us last night, and his product just got better without him doing anything. That's kind of massive. Imagine this happening at scale. We're going to blow the legacy web out of the water, I'm convinced.
And before we move on, and one of the cool things is that any of these DVMs can have like a subscription tier. So you could say, I'm going to pay 1,000 sats a month to this whoever developer it is. I have no idea who it is. And I'm going to have access to this feed, 1,000 sats or $5 or whatever it might be. So this is a way where from Primal or from Nostr or from any client, someone can interact with someone's business. There is no KYC, there is no registration. The person didn't have to go through this process of submitting their feed or their algo to Twitter or whatever. It's completely open, completely permissionless. Someone from whatever, North Korea, can create a small business of selling these feeds. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, we're serious when we say marketplace. So there are going to be a bunch of free feeds, and there are going to be a bunch of paid feeds. And the paid feeds can be the business model around paying for feeds could be implemented on a subscription basis or on a kind of pay-per-request basis. The DVM model already supports all of this. So it's going to be wild to just open it up and see what happens in the free marketplace when this is unleashed. And this is kind of a theme on Nostr just in general. Like, Nostr is a true protocol in the sense that there's this ecosystem that's unfolding and developing without any central coordination or planning. It's just a bunch of actors building stuff, users using stuff that they feel is useful, paying for services that they feel are useful, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result, the protocol itself is getting stronger and more vibrant. It's thriving without anyone being in charge. This is kind of a big deal and doesn't happen too often. It's actually pretty rare to see something like this happen, and makes me incredibly bullish on Nostr. All right, content types. This is my favorite part. This is the part that kind of blew my mind. Okay, so here's Medium. I just opened the Medium app to read an article, and I made a highlight here. Medium is a nice kind of system for reading long-form content, and the ability to highlight anything within Medium is a great feature. And then you can select the highlight and kind of collaborate around it. You can make comments on a highlight and so forth. Cool. But it's completely closed in. So this highlight that I created here might carry quite a bit of signal, but it's forever trapped in the Medium silo. And as a result, even though Medium has been around for quite a few years now, we don't really see a lot of collaboration. We don't really see a vibrant community of people commenting and collaborating around these highlights. And this is Highlighter, a Nostr application, showing a long-form note that Rabble recently published about Nostr delete. This is what it looks like in the mobile app. And I created a highlight here as well on Highlighter. But Highlighter is a Nostr app. It's a properly designed Nostr app, which means that it is using standard Nostr events for publishing long-form content. And it's also using standard Nostr events for things like highlights. So any Nostr client is able to leverage content that's being created on Highlighter, both in terms of articles that are being published, but also artifacts that are related to articles like highlights. So a client like Primal is able to tap into this content that's widely available on Nostr. And this is a preview of the next release of Primal. This is what the same article looks like on Primal. Highlighter and Primal are different types of clients in terms of our core competencies and the way we want to present and structure content to our users. So every client developer can make decisions on how to best present this type of content to their audience. But here's the same article, and here's the same highlight that exists on Primal. And then we can select those highlights and show the highlight activity, and there already is like probably more activity of these highlights than you get on Medium, which is wild. You can select this highlight, you can quote it or comment further and so forth. Here's what it looks like when you just select the quote command. It opens the dialog, your note editor basically. Allows you to add a note while referencing the highlight itself, and the long form note, and you post this to your main feed. So in the primal main feed, you see the comment, the highlight, and the link to the long form note. So right out of the gate, we already are going to have better UX than what Medium is ever able to offer. And this completely blows my mind. So then apply the same concept to every content type that exists out there. Think about a podcasting app like Fountain, for example, allowing users to create highlights of or clips within podcasts and so forth, and publish those as Nostr events. Think about a travel app like a TripAdvisor competitor that's built as a proper Nostr app, publishing information about locations, publishing reviews, etc., etc. If implemented properly, all of these things become Nostr events that make Nostr massively bigger and massively more powerful, and create all of these artifacts that any Nostr developer can step in and use in a way that makes sense for their app. This completely blows my mind, and I can't wait to see how all of this is going to unfold in the next few years.
And one of the interesting things is that Medium has been around for however long, for a really long time. Still, the conversation that happens around the highlights and the comment section of articles usually is kind of a shit show. There's not a whole lot of signal there. And the main reason really is that your social graph is not there. So it's just a bunch of strangers with perhaps no shared values, no shared interest, having discussions that it's kind of like a random, like a cesspool. Whereas here, I create a highlight, it will go to the people that follow me, and I will have interactions with the people that I'm already interacting and like expanding throughout like the social graph and the web of trust. But it's much more relevant and it's much more vibrant because the highlight and the conversation itself can happen on the same medium. So I think this is super powerful because you see content creators, they push people to share their content to their networks. But this happens in a much more organic, long tail way where I'm sharing the stuff that resonated with me. I read an article that Miljan wrote, and I share part of that article that resonated with me, and we can have a conversation around that part of the article. I think that's super powerful, and it's going to bring more high-signal conversation, which I think is kind of one of the ways where Nostr can grow, where we can go and create highlights of stuff that is just broadly on the web. I know Will from Demos is working on an extension for Safari to create just highlights on the web. On Highlighter, you can also just say, oh, okay, on this Medium article, I want to be able to create highlights. And we can bring people that are writing on Medium or on Substack or whatever, we can bring them into Nostr because there is valuable conversation happening around their content.
Exactly, and these artifacts get posted in these microblogging feeds, which are typically kind of most popular, most frequently used by users, and they're a great discovery tool for long-form content. Which brings us to Pablo's little show here.
Yeah, so I was listening to a podcast a while ago, and I heard this part that I loved. And for the background, Julie Greenwald is some executive president of a record label that's been around the industry for like 3 decades or so. So she knows the stuff. She's seen the transition of the music industry changing. So we wanted to play this this part of the podcast because it's super valuable.
Artists doing each song is doing 100,000 streams.
Yes.
And it adds up to the million versus the 1 million. It's just like you could see that the catalog is performing.
People are buying into the artist, not just the song.
And that's the difference in how we're trying to sign talent.
How important is social media these days?
It's the most important thing.
Is it the most important?
Because that's where content is consumed. The short form content.
More than streaming, Spotify?
So this is the interesting thing. They're hearing the music, their full song on the Spotify, on Apple, on Amazon, but the discovery of the artist is vis-a-vis all the short form that is on Instagram Reels, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on Snapchat. And so that's where kids are like finding about you, you know, what your sound is, where you're from, your clips, and then they're coming in to hear it on the streaming platforms because that's where their library is.
Okay, the rest of the podcast is very worthwhile listening to. But the basic idea is that the short form is the discovery, is where people are. But what's interesting is that the strategy that musicians and artists in general have is they need to present the short form, present the clip, present the quote, present whatever it is, something that piques the interest of their audience, and bring them off of that platform into this other platform. So take them from Twitter to SoundCloud, take them from TikTok to whatever, to Patreon. So there is a fight, there is a tension there where you are publishing content on Twitter and you're fighting Twitter, right? Like Twitter doesn't want their traffic to leave. With Nostr, we are bringing all these content pieces together into the same feed because it's all the same data. The same data goes everywhere, and it's up to clients to decide how to render it.
Incredible, yeah. Twitter famously, or X, I should say, under Elon Musk, famously stopped.
I refuse to call it X.
It's X. It's just X. It kind of nicely delineates old Twitter to whatever this thing is now. But yeah, X famously stopped linking to Substack, which was a major problem to Substack creators who were using Twitter as the kind of top of the funnel to bring content over. We're not going to have any of those problems on Nostr. In fact, we're going to lean into this openness and just create experiences that are far better than any of these platforms individually can create. All right, paid subscriptions. So Highlighter allows creators to create paid subscriptions for their content. And you can use the Highlighter UI application to create the paid tiers and so forth. But and you become kind of a paid content creator. But since this is Nostr, you're not becoming a Highlighter content creator. You're becoming a Nostr content creator. And then your paid, the information about your paid tiers is published on Nostr, is available to all the other Nostr apps to plug into and enable users to subscribe to your content. So you create your paid tiers on Highlighter, and then you can use Primal in the upcoming release and just discover the content you're interested in and subscribe right there. Anything else to add here, Pablo?
No, yeah, let's go.
We're kind of running a little short on time. Wallet infrastructure.
Yeah, so I can already briefly discuss this, but it's this idea where your wallet, like the whole thing, is based on your private key, and it's using cashew tokens to save your money on the relays, which means you go from client A to client B to client C, and your balance is the same everywhere. You can spend, you can receive. It's the same experience we currently have with our follow list. It's the same experience with the money. You receive 1,000 sats somewhere, and you have 1,000 sats on your wallet. You go to any other client, and your 1,000 sats are there. It's just magically there. Yeah, this is I know from Kali, where like he captures the excitement of how crazy this the experience is.
All right, so a bit of a reality check for us. Nostr versus the social media complex. In terms of users, this is kind of roughly how we stack. We don't have that many users compared to Twitter, for example, and Twitter is not even the biggest social network out there. And then competitors like ActivityPub, Blue Sky still have more users, probably, than Nostr. However, when it comes to developer kind of mindshare adoption, I think things are leaning rapidly in the other direction. I mean, how many developers does Twitter have? All of these guys probably that we have on the diagram are just Twitter employees.
If you make the graph of clients, it's just Twitter. That's it, because they closed their API, or roughly they kind of closed their API. Whereas Nostr, we thought about making the same chart with the clients, and then we figured that there would be so many logos for Nostr that we didn't even try to capture that.
And to have this difference be so stark, so early in the game is incredibly bullish. So I think we're gonna make it, fam.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay.
All right, let's keep on riffing. Preston, you have questions? Anyone else?
You guys know the deal. More Q&A. Oh, we got lots of questions now. All right, let's go over here. Hold on. I saw a hand go up here. Where was it?
Hey guys, why do we have so many more developers than the others, you think?
How many what?
Why is there so many developers coming here? And I had a question on that slide too. Was that pre-Elon, those numbers, or?
Those were directional numbers, no? No. So developers, I've been around developing stuff for a really long time. Nostr by far has been what has captured my imagination the fastest and with the most gravity. I think the fact that it's so easy to build stuff, or it seems so easy to build stuff on Nostr, and how broad the design space is. I think that's why, you can create all kinds of applications, and you get the most annoying problems of launching something new solved for you, like users, database, running infra, especially users. I would say users is the most, the hardest problem, right? So I think that's why, and it's just the product is so malleable, so composable that it's very easy to come up with new ideas and put them together with all the Lego pieces.
First of all, thank you for a great question. Why are so many developers flocking over to Nostr? It's for all the reasons that Pablo said, and probably the main topic of our talk is openness. So as a Nostr dev, on day one, you can plug into this existing social graph and the existing user base that's open to you. And you can also utilize all of these content types that are the artifacts that we talked about. You can put them together the way you think is interesting. The amount of innovation that we're going to see here, I'm sure, is mind-blowing. You can plug into the existing wallet infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the reasons. Openness, I think, if in one word, I think is the reason why developers are coming to Nostr.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, so I had a question in and around, obviously you've integrated so that you can have eCash that is allocated to your NSEC. Is that also, the two-part question, is that also possible with Fediments? Okay, so yes. And given that you're going to see people that are using a private key for both now their social online presence and money, and people may be having decent amounts of money there at some point in the future, are there mitigations for the risks of dealing with that? And is there a way to, even though it's with a single NSEC, is there a way to kind of keep that secure but also keep it not incredibly difficult to easily post at the same time?
Yeah, I love both questions. Yeah, I thought a lot about both aspects. The Fedimint part. So I started with Cashew because Cashew is like super simple and it has a lot of traction already. The way I see it is, it would be really cool if you keep on your Cashew, it's NIP60 wallet, it's the NIP that I use. So you can keep your pocket money, your pocket change, on a Cashew wallet, and also this is across mints, right? So you could have whatever 10,000 sats on 10 different mints, and say when you get to 20,000 sats in one of the mints, your wallet automatically, or with a click of a button, it moves part of the balance into a Fedi mint immediately. Like maybe you don't even know that it's happening. It's just you see a balance. Okay, I have 120,000 sats. Some of that money is on this mint, this mint, this mint, and this Fedi mint. All this, and I think that's where Moon made a really good advance, where with a unified balance, we can do the same thing with this. With regards to the other question, yeah, I thought a lot about that because, okay, most people, they log into a client and they say, oh, allow signing everything, give permissions for everything, which, okay, it happens. So we need to design around the fact that people do that. So in NIP60, I added that you can have multiple wallets, right? So you could have a wallet that is literally the name is Pocket Change, and you can have another wallet that is called checking account. One of those wallets can have a symmetric password. So to spend from that wallet, you need to provide the client with an explicit password that you need to type, right? So it adds a bit of friction, but in return, you can have a wallet that is just, okay, you don't have to ask anything. It's just you can spend, you can receive, whatever. And then when that wallet gets to 50,000 sats or 20,000 sats, it moves the remaining into the other wallet. So if I want to spend from that wallet, I need to provide the password. So in that way, this is not to keep, obviously, your life safe. Like, this is not cold storage in any way. But it's one more tool. It's one more Lego piece that we can design with.
Okay, yeah, I'll be quick here. What's the mechanism? So you're talking about sub accounts from the same NSEC, is that right? Is that like a BIP85 type thing, or is that?
No, it's not BIP85. We do have derivation paths, and we could do stuff like that, but it is literally, it's encrypted with your NSEC, but you must provide a passphrase to decrypt. So it's not doing, because derivation paths and BIP85, like to compute a BIP85, I would need access to the private key. Many times, if you're using a browser extension, you don't have access to the private key, so you can't go that route. So the simplest route is just like left side of the curve, just enter a passphrase. There is no fancy crypto or anything.
All right, over to Alex.
Okay. Yeah, this is also a not sack question. Have you thought about, can you attest to your balances, like in a ZKP type of way? Because I'm like, maybe this is a hally hoop for like the next talk, but like in a sort of like marketplace peer-to-peer thing where you want to kind of like, they've been like thoughts about like proof of GTXOs, for example, where you can attest to ownership of like assets to establish some types of reputation. People have been talking about that in the context of Lightning, for example. Like, do you think there's a way to do that with Nutsack?
Yeah, I understood 80% of the question. I think I kind of got it. You could. It's in the way I implemented NIP60. In the way NIP60, I wrote NIP60 is not possible. It could be possible. So the tokens, I'm going to give a talk right after this one about like all the technical aspects of this. This is like quite technical question, but the basic idea is the tokens themselves, the money itself is encrypted, so no one else can see it. You could keep it unencrypted with a P2P, locked to your pub key. So in that way, other people could see. It is not like there is still like it's not fully like you could fake it basically. So yeah, ish.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you could put like proofs.
Could you say like you own X amounts? Like say I have more than 100,000 sats from this specific mint?
Yeah, you could probably do something like that. Yeah.
Hello, Pablo. I need you in the workshop stage.
Thank you, Marce. Thank you, guys.
I was like, hold on.